Well, I keep on getting asked, especially today. I've had a few guys in Europe call as well as email me. How is it that this group or this family, I should say, is what it is? Well, to be honest with you, this group was really never supposed to be anything. It was. I played ball. I played a lot of softball. I used to travel a lot playing ball. I was actually going to go and play in a very big tournament, and my love, had just started treatments, so I wasn't really going to go. I had told the teams that I had played with that, when it comes to her, if she's not feeling well, I'm not going anywhere. If I'm able to give you, even down to 5 minutes grace period, time before the game, and say, hey, dude, I'm not making it. That's just the way it is. And majority of my teams that I had been playing ball with, um, everybody was really cool with it, about that, obviously, because my love is my love. Um, well, I had made a sign out of a Bud Light box. I tore it up and I wrote "fuck cancer" on it. Took it with me, and I took pictures of the. Asked if I could take pictures with the teams that we played against. Uh, Never really expecting it to take root or anything like that, but it's just a trip how things work. That sign it went all over the Midwest, came back eventually, then it went to Canada, it went to England, Hawaii, came back on this side of the States, and there was a few different people that took it to actually major league ballparks. And it kind of took a life of its own there for a minute, up until somebody dropped it, and I think it was this child. It fell in the gutter, which to me was really funny, because imagine you're at home with family this night, you get a phone call, and the male screaming, erratic, just so sorry, I'm so sorry, that kind of stuff. And I was like, dude, who is it? What's going? Slow down. What happened? And who is this? And I don't know who he was, but some way he got a hold of the sign, and his daughter dropped it in the gutter, and it got wet, and he felt so bad. I was just like, I was like, dude, relax, dude. It's a piece of cardboard, man. Don't trip, And he's all, but it's your first one, yeah. But I've made like 10 of them already and given them to people. Told them start their own thing, spread awareness. Well, back then, spreading awareness meant to me was, I had played, like I said, played a lot of softball. I knew a lot of women, a lot of friends, girlfriends of mine. Um, I just didn't want anybody to have to go through what my love was just starting to go through at the beginning then. So I was all about, get your scans, go get checked, make sure, that kind of stuff. Uh, the whole profanity part, people, I've gotten ridiculed over the years, like if I was trying to provoke something from somebody, it had nothing to do with that at all. Fuck cancer, what it meant to me was, I'm sitting in an office, and mind you, when my love was first diagnosed with cancer, I knew 2 weeks before she did. I didn't want to tell her. I mean, I knew she was going to be terrified. You know, I was scared. It was a scary time, uh, but I was very naive to the whole situation, the medical system in general. I believed them. We as a society, we're yes men to these doctors. Because they tell us to do something, and sure, doc, yeah, okay. Well, what we realized is that they were telling us partial truths, um, playing us stupid, more or less. Because it's based on money. It's all derived on money. I didn't know that. I thought these doctors were genuinely there to do something. Cure cancer and that kind of stuff. But it was so far from that. Um, well, the profanity. I'm sitting there, and she tells my love, that she's got cancer, and it was just fuck, seeing her heart and her whole emotions that day was just, mm, it was a very tough day for both of us. I was very confident and very strong through that time. It didn't phase me in the sense because I knew in my heart I knew that she was going to be fine. Um, as it went on, mind you, that sign I had pictures from literally from this side of the world to the other. I mean, people were sending me pictures like you would not believe. Well, Facebook kind of got took over by strangers. People I really didn't know. It wasn't even about me, my love, my kids, her kid. It wasn't about us. It was just people. Um, she, told me, why don't you put the pictures in a group so they're not, there. You can. And I was like, okay, well, how do you do it? I had never done that before, and so she showed me. I didn't know that people could actually join a group. Join this, that. I didn't know. I had no clue. But slowly but surely, people started joining it. And originally it was called Fuck Cancer. Um, I didn't know about all the others. I really didn't pay attention to any of that stuff. I had a softball fundraiser. It was called a Fuck Cancer fundraiser. Little did I know that one of my younger brother's friends, named Joey, he had started his own thing called Fuck Cancer. Made his own shirts and all that kind of stuff. It was set up more in like the biker field, lowriders, that kind of stuff, that area. My deal was I could make it bigger. I talked to him. I told him I had no idea you were doing this, Joey. None whatsoever. It was just the way I felt. My loves always teased me that fuck was my favorite word, so it kind of went hand in hand. But I wanted to talk to him. I didn't want him thinking that I was trying to take anything away from him because, he had lost a niece, to cancer and that kind of stuff. So it's just, it's a horrible situation all the way around. But, I wanted him to be aware that I'm going to make it bigger. I challenged myself to get this out there for people to understand what this is about, and that disease isn't going anywhere. Well, as the disease started to progress, I started to realize what her progress, as well as the treatments and stuff, and I started doing a lot of reading. Not so much research, just reading, about treatments and quality of care and things I can do to try to benefit her, make her feel better. To me, I always felt like it should have been me, not her. I'm the smoker, drinker, all the stuff, that I'm not supposed to do, I do. And, that kind of deal. So I was just kind of, I kind of just stumbled through it, just tried to, stay as confident I could for her and, just be there for her through this. Well, as we're going along, the groups just started joining, people started joining. Well, I started realizing that they weren't really doing anything other than giving her their particular protocol. He wasn't trying to do anything in the sense of seeking where it came from, the root, if she had any other, issues, thyroid or, blood diseases, autoimmune disease, anything like that. It was about the cancer, the tumor, the treatment that goes with it, that kind of stuff. He was very fixated on what he was going to do. I took it at, mind you, the guy was my first doctor was horrible. We got rid of him right away. I'm not one to quit. I don't quit at anything. I've never been. It's just moms didn't raise me that way. I was raised by a single mother. It just didn't happen. Not in our family. So basically, what went down was that I started seeing. I started paying attention. Her first doctor was just horrible. She wasn't, obviously the chemo sucked, and she had a particular kind of cancer. It's a, popular cancer in women. It's called HER2/neu breast cancer, positive, I should say, HER2/neu positive. It's a hormonal-based cancer, which we didn't know. Basically, her body is feeding the cancer. I didn't understand all that. I didn't understand any of it. I didn't really think about any of that. I figured they were going to give us the information we needed or we deserved to hear. Well, that's not the case. Not the case at all. Well, as things were going on, I started, okay, well, you know what? I started getting curious on my end. And I started, like I said, I started reading a lot. Well, I found out through my research and my reading that her particular kind of cancer had a 98% chance of coming back severe, if not terminal. He never mentioned that to my love or me. Not one time in the 2 years that she was going through treatments, surgeries, getting her butt kicked by this disease. Not one time. Well, I had started reading about cannabis, I found some stuff, online, and just kind of going through like people post on Facebook and stuff like that. Mind you, this is good 5 years, almost 5 years ago. So it wasn't really about people. People were talking about it in the sense of medicinal, but it wasn't really out there. You know what I mean? Like something like it was next door. That kind of deal. It wasn't like that for us. Um, like I said, I was reading, right? Well, this whole fuck cancer thing that I started already kind of took a life of its own, and was just every time I went play ball, people were asking me for my sign. Hey, you're that fuck cancer dude, that kind of stuff. At first it was kind of funny, but then after a while it was like I didn't want people thinking, because I had gotten a phone call, and this is to me it was just through this disease I've always heard that either your family either falls apart or they become stronger. Well, like I said, I've been playing ball for a long time. I don't have a big family. I have a brother and sister that I do not really talk to. Um, I have real one cousin that I really talk to. My cousin Rob. He's more like a big brother than anything, and I'm older than him. It's funny, but I love that guy. I hadn't seen him for like 17 years. And when we saw each other, we made a promise that we were going to stay in touch. That kind of stuff. Well, he's the only family, besides my mom, that I really consider I have. Through this whole deal, we've been alone. Literally alone. It's one of those things where it's like, wow, you get to see the reality in people, and sometimes that reality isn't too appealing. Well, softball, which I loved, turned vicious, just horrible. One man in particular, Indian, I guess. Anyway, he started running his mouth, and it just got worse. And he fed the lies, and it just got bigger, got bigger, got bigger. It was just trip how things changed. From every time I walked on a field, hey, what's up, handshakes and hugs, that kind of stuff. To I went to the field just to try to get some of the energy out and to play. Because it's something I like to do, and it's an hour or a tournament all day of me not thinking about anything but surviving on the field. And it just got so bad. Literally, I had no idea who to trust anymore. So the place I would run to, in the sense of trying to escape, was no longer there. It got really bad. Like I said, people just I saw the reality in people, and which was to me was just even more appalling or funny, I could say. She was dying, and they still went crazy with their mouths and talking shit and problems. And I had a team literally. This man started so much stuff. I had created try to do a little sport thing to help generate money and be able to get like mastectomy bras and wigs for other cancer patients. That just real quick, I didn't realize how many shady people were out there, and I got blamed. I mean, ultimately because it's my tournament, but didn't make a cent off anything. You know, uh, believe me, nothing. But and mind you, my love's being supportive for me. Well, that all that is just bullshit because it's just softball. Yeah, it hurt in the beginning, but then reality kind of set in. For me, it was more, you know, at least I'm glad I saw who it was. So who followed and all that. The team deleted. They made a team about people I deleted from Facebook. Pathetic, pathetic. Especially when someone's literally possibly dying at the time. Funny, huh? Well, at this time, my girl is just, not happy, finding excuses why she doesn't feel like going to treatments, and I don't feel like going this week. I'm gonna go. I'll go wait till next week, or that kind of stuff, and just you could tell she wasn't happy. She wasn't in it. The doctor though was horrible. The office was just look pathetic. TJ, you know what I mean? It just didn't look good at all. Wasn't comfortable. When we're driving, she tells me that this was her last treatment. I mean, I'm not. I go, what? Yeah, she's like, this is my last one. Well, don't you want to talk about it? No, she's all, no, it's my body. I made the decision. I was like, really? Okay. Well, so what do you plan on doing? She's like, I don't know. I'm just not doing that. Well, you need to do something. Well, no, I don't know. Okay. I go, you sure you don't want to talk about it? And she was like, no, I made the decision. I go, okay. Well, like I said, I don't quit. And, sometimes my love is hard. Well, this is one of those particular times where I had no choice. I can't sit ringside and watch. So I looked at her while we're driving, and I told her, regardless how you feel today, I want you to pack your shit and get the fuck out of my house. She looked at me like, what did you say? I was trying not to cry. Oh God, I was trying not to show that I was gonna cry because I don't like. I'm not mean. I'm not mean to my love. That's for darn sure. That girl's always been on a pedestal. I treated her like shit in the beginning, but that was from past luggage. I realized early that I had found, the woman of my dreams. Not many people can really say that, you know, that, you find that one true love, that one that you can be your friend with, laugh with. Even when I've been angry with her, I've never thought in the sense of like, fuck you. Never, not one time. Not one time. And we've been through a lot, man. So it was very, she didn't, what did you say to me? I told you, I don't care. I'm sorry, but I don't quit. And I'm not going to watch you quit and die. Not in front of me. So regardless, however you feel, pack your shit and get the fuck out of my house. She started crying, and, uh, I love this woman. I love her. I know I do. But I just couldn't watch her. I can't do that. If I'm not doing something, and you're not, what's the point? So, we cried together and, I basically kind of scolded her. I hate using that term, but I did. We don't quit on anything, not in this family. Not one time. You don't like the doctor? Find a new doctor. You don't like the... Find something. Get off your ass and find something. And she did. Well, that's when our eyes lit and, our hopes were, finally we met a man that, or a doctor that really cares, about her and about her situation and what she has to go through. Didn't realize that they're all alike. Some are just a little bit more sugar coated than the others. Well, at this point now, it was just hugs and, friend, it was just, this guy was just super, right? So here she's thinking that we got it now, right? Well, as I was learning all this stuff, I realized that, what they were giving her, it actually ends up promoting growth of secondary cancers. And her particular kind of cancer, the only thing that really is documented or known to work is Herceptin. But it's over long periods, and the long period isn't really that long. You still have that whole detrimental life thing that they keep on phrasing, or, that she's terminal, that kind of stuff. Well, that was later on, but towards the end of her treatment, she was feeling good. She was happy. She was excited. I wasn't. I was scared. I knew something was coming. I just didn't know when. Started trying to be a little bit more proactive in her diet, and didn't really put cannabis into the mix until Tommy Chong. It was kind of like a right and a left cross, to be honest with you, because I had read so much about it, but never I never put it together in the sense of that it would work. I know it's been in known medications since the early 1800s. But I didn't know what was, you know what I mean? I didn't even know what oil was then, you know what I mean? I just was very naive to it. A lot of people in general assume that, originally when they talk about cannabis, it's all smoking. Well, it wasn't that. And I didn't know that part of it. Well, Tommy Chong came out. He was diagnosed with, I believe it was pancreatic cancer then. Went on CNN, talked about how he was going to cure himself with cannabis oil. Well, proceeded to send this man email after email. Eventually I ended up meeting or conversing with a man named Rick Simpson. This was prior to him, the feds, taking him, and he sent me a lot of information. about cannabis oil, what it does to the body, the healing effects, the anti-inflammatory effects, the pain reduction effects, the regeneration of cells, the healing of your inner self, your body, your organs, your it's just it's miraculous what this stuff does. But then it was kind of like a eureka moment. No wonder why they made it a Section 1 drug back then. Well, my research got real heavy. Okay, I started reading a lot more now. They had the whole balloons and champagne, bottle popping. You did it. You beat cancer, and all that stuff, right? Well, that's just bullshit. Well, sure enough, she started having pain in her back. Like a sciatic nerve type of pain. I was getting very scared at that point. She wasn't really much of a runner, or any of that kind of stuff. Girl loved disco music and cha-cha at heart and dancing. That was her thing before. She loved dance. Well, I knew something was coming. I just didn't know what, and I didn't know how to deal with what was going to happen. That kind of deal, and we told the doctor. We kept on telling the doctor, telling him, and he would. I literally told him, I go, it kind of sounds like a sciatic nerve. He's, yep, that's probably what it is, and like played it off. We kept on pressing about getting a scan. Don't you think she should get? No, no. I mean, he just was. He just didn't want to do anything. Why? Because he knew that 3 months time was just us going and checking in. Hey, how you doing? Looking over the blood work and that kind of stuff. And you know, back then I didn't know how to read a scan. I didn't know their terminology in the sense of how they hide things. They won't list things as cancer. When it's underneath a certain size, you'll have it. You won't know it because you can't read what it's saying, but it's there. They know it's there. It's just not in their financial. It's not financial benefiting them to do now. They're gonna wait till it gets bigger. That way, everything comes with it. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that that was okay. I didn't know that there was no accountability when it comes to all non-curable diseases. That these doctors are protected by the federal government. They can do whatever they want or nothing at all, and there's nothing that we can do about it. Not a damn thing. Nothing. While we're in their care. Okay, so we kept on telling. And this is how the system really, sucks for people in general that are fighting this disease, because it's a waiting game. Okay, and this is what I mean about they knew it was there, but, well, okay, it comes back. It's considered breast cancer in the bone. She had a metastasized tumor around her L3, L4, L5 vertebrae in her back. I guess generally the area where your bone marrow is produced, your nerve endings go up into your spine. It's a very vital area, and it was embedded in the bone. Well, metastasized tumors have arms, legs. It just kind of it gets into whatever it attaches to, and it was in a very bad spot. All of a sudden, this doctor was just like, he got so excited, literally, well, we got to do this and we got to do that, and I was, where the fuck have you been for the last 3 months? He just kind of looked at me. I'm sorry? What? Where have you been for the last 3 months? I go, all I see in front of me right now is one of the biggest fucking drug pushers I've ever met in my life. He just kind of like looked at me. He didn't know what to think or say at that point. I go, because I literally asked him, like, you could see cancer, right? This whole time you could see it, physically see it? Is that what it is? Why aren't you a fucking billionaire living up on the hill or something and not even having to work if you can physically see cancer? Because you're doing more of a visual diagnosis than rather do a scan when something's going on. What do you talk to the patient, go off of blood work, and then you basically do a diagnosis that way? Well, yeah, I go, why would you do that when blood tumor markers aren't always correct? And you should know, sir, that each individual person, DNA, hormones, literally everything about each person is different. So cancer moves differently through different people, obviously. Never one person is exactly alike. Okay? We all know that. But that's where the being naive comes into play. Okay? I didn't know anything about them, getting paid kickbacks. I had no idea. I thought it was one of those myths or, propaganda bullshit, people, just trying to stir the pot. I didn't know it was really true. Okay, well, now she's sick. Now she's sick again, but bad. Okay, mind you, all right, she has, a tumor in her back. Okay, she's got cancer in her body. Prior to that, it was a waiting game. Weeks after this, going to this doctor. Waiting another couple weeks to get the results, and then waiting another week or two just to have the doctor look at the results, and then him referring us to another specialist, and then waiting a couple weeks just to see him, and then we talk to him, and then he wants to send us for another test, and then we go with the test, and then it's another few weeks. It was literally, I want to say it was 25 weeks, literally right when she went into surgery, that cancer was growing in her body. I was literally appalled. I couldn't understand how these people were getting away with this. How this all, the insurance, everybody's just kind of going with the program, no problems. Hey, how are you? I'm glad to see you. And are you fucking kidding me? Glad to see me? Really? Do I look happy to be here? It was just, it was just, a lot of bullshit. And I didn't realize that, we as a society have gotten used to that, you know? And that's the thing that's bad. Very bad. Well, now I was literally on a I don't know, people have called it a crusade or a quest or they were okay with her dying. Still gets me, man. I was terrified. I couldn't understand how I was supposed to live, not having my love. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Not for me. You know what I mean? Come on, really? Well, I started researching. I was researching big time. Okay. Well, people started finding me. When we're doing this, first one was a family from Arkansas, non-medicinal state, brain tumor, child, 6 years old. Um, Conversation like you would not believe. Family had no clue what was going on with their son. I told them what I would do if that was my child. I'm not a doctor, but if it was my son, I'd get him the fuck out of that hospital now. They're gonna juice that boy until he's too weak, and they're gonna stop the treatments, and he's gonna die. He was like, "What? What? I'm sorry, but you gotta get off your ass, man. Not unless you're prepared to watch your son die." I told him, I asked him a question, and I go, "Here's my phone number when you have an answer. What are you prepared to do within the law, or way the fuck outside the law to save your child?" And he called me. I basically taught him how to treat his child. It wasn't no rocket science or anything. It was just things I learned. Never really thought about applying it into the physical form. Like me, on a person. It was just I was just trying to learn that way. If these doctors try to lie to us, I knew that they were lying. You know what I mean? That's was my thing. It was never about helping people. As bad as it sounds, it wasn't like that in the beginning. It was set up to try to catch them lying and just try to protect my love. Well, I helped this family, and it's just the way kind of the nature of the beast when this comes, the way this stuff works is, I was up, and insomnia and anxiety just kind of started then at that point, started taking root for me. Um, I did a lot of research for the family, and basically the way my research works is this: I learned about the disease first. I learned what it tends to come from. Usual autoimmune deficiencies, blood diseases, irritable bowel syndrome. Oh gosh, literally anything that you can think of eventually turns into some form of cancer. Didn't know that, but they let it happen. Like when you go get treated because you have diverticulitis or something, the chances of you getting colon cancer or intestinal cancer are through the roof, and they're waiting for you to come. Didn't know that, but it's the truth. Everything has a root from somewhere, but these doctors don't look for the root when they're treating you. They just try to deal with what they have at hand, and that's them making money. On the average, I believe it's almost $1 million per patient. Wow. Upward 300, 400, $500,000 at the low. Okay, well, this is stuff that I was all learning. Well, like I said, people were calling me. So I started, my research was all about trying to find out what that disease was. What do you think it came from? If you have certain things, it usually tends to be. What the doctors were planning on doing it. And now I started applying cannabis into the mix, cannabis oil, and the healing effects of it to each individual disease, obviously. And I started realizing through all my research was that cannabis oil was basically taking away a lot of the things that this ecologists, whatever, wanted to do. Chemo doesn't work. It actually kills you. You should know that by now if you don't. It promotes a secondary growth. The protein, when it's killed, either healthy or bacterialized cancer cells secrete a protein that in turn feeds cancer. And if you're under the misconception that chemotherapy kills all cells in your body, healthy and bad, you're greatly mistaken. Our body is made up of cells. And if it was killing everything, how are we going to be alive? So if you look at it that way, they miss something, right? Because if there's something else, and regardless of what, excuse me, what top technology we have, they can't see everything. So they know they missed something. That's where the whole cocktails and doubling up and all this kind of stuff, it's all ridiculous. It's all bullshit. It doesn't work. Okay? Certain people, God willing, they go into remission and they don't have cancer for, 10, 15, 20 years. See, but what the thing is that that's their scapegoat. Why? Because if you have treatment, and usually the people tend to die, if not, start falling apart 10 to 15 years after treatments. And because of the distance, they don't put it with your treatments. They don't blame it on that. So they're still in the okay. Okay? You have a bacterialized fungi that turns into a bacterialized cancer in your body, in your blood. The chances, that it's in remission is great. It's high in certain cancers. But the chances of it coming back sooner or later are extremely high. Extremely high. Diet, literally everything. I've met a lot of really amazing people through this, talked to a lot of really amazing people, holistic doctors. Got really involved in the whole holistic movement there for a minute. I was trying to figure out what was the best route for my love to take. Well, like I said, people started finding me. A lot of them had no clue. So I basically started teaching people. Well, my research is me writing. I don't copy and paste anything. I write everything I'm reading because that's the only way I'm able to. I'm more of a hands-on kind of guy, and it's the only way I can really learn it. Mind you, I'd been out of school for 20 some odd years, so my whole study habits were horrible. I have no idea how I was able to actually get all the information I had received at that point, and then the doctors who I had talked to, emailing doctors all over the world at one point. It was an amazing experience in the sense of who I was able to talk to. I'm just a dude from Santa Fe Springs. No education really whatsoever. And when I started telling people about this, people laughed. They thought I was crazy. I mean, literally, thought I was crazy. People didn't get it.